want to predict the 2025 NFL season with accuracy. It doesn't matter that it's May. The schedule just came out, and it's time to rip on NFL win totals. Before, I've made the case for using the wisdom of crowds in making preseason NFL predictions. The week before the start of the season, I collect subjective power rankings from across the major media sites. No one sports writer puts out the perfect power ranking. However, the combination of many power rankings makes for a powerful predictor. This is the wisdom of crowds. From the 2014 through 2023 season, these preseason predictions from the wisdom of crowds has gone 54.6% against the closing spread for the first 6 weeks of the season. For 2025, let's make that happen earlier. I aggregated subjective power rankings after the NFL draft. Apparently, people click on these power rankings all year long. Clearly, there's going to be some problems with these early numbers. A notable example is a team like Pittsburgh, who has a couple of corpses in the quarterback room right now. It's so bad that they're trying to sign Aaron Rodgers and all the drama that comes with him. Still, I'm hoping for some insights to attack the win totals market from these early wisdom of crowds predictions. You can check out the full rankings at my site. Just go to thepowerrank.com/NFL. Here, I'm going to dig deeper into 3 teams that I find interesting. Caleb Williams was the first pick of the 2024 NFL Draft. A year ago, all the experts noted that he had one of the best situations ever for a rookie quarterback. These pieces included veteran wide receiver DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, and everyone was really high on rookie wide receiver Rome Odunze. Williams struggled as a rookie quarterback, to put it lightly. For pass offense, I look at success rate, a metric that considers the context of every play. We'll get more into the details of that later, but it suffices to say right now that Caleb Williams was well below NFL average. I should mention here that Williams was pretty good at not throwing interceptions. He had a 1.1% interception rate as a rookie. That is significantly better than the NFL average of 2.2% last season. His interception rate last season as a rookie is unsustainable. However, there are some metrics that I look at for quarterbacks that suggest that Williams will be better than average at not throwing interceptions. We learn more about the struggles of Caleb Williams in the leak of a new book. This fall, Seth Wickersham will release his new book, American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. He's got a lot of juicy information in there about Caleb Williams. It turns out that he didn't necessarily want to sign with the Bears after being drafted first in the 2024 NFL Draft. He even thought about signing with the UFL, which would have made him an unrestricted free agent in 2025. Williams also watched film alone with no guidance from coaches. He said, quote, "No one tells me what to watch. I just turn it on." End quote. This shows you just how hard it is to make accurate preseason NFL predictions. This offseason, the Bears hired Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions. He has engineered one of the best offenses in the NFL over the past few seasons. What does the wisdom of crowds say about the Bears in 2025? It rates them at exactly NFL average. There are 2 ways to look at this. First, it could be considered a slight against Ben Johnson. The Bears were exactly NFL average in this same model before the start of last season. Or you can look at this as an improvement under Johnson. When you want to evaluate Chicago's performance last season, you can look at my team rankings. These numbers take margin of victory, and then they adjust for strength of schedule with the mathematics that I've developed at the power rank. Last season, the Bears were 3 points worse than NFL average. This means that they would be predicted to lose by a field goal against an average NFL team on a neutral site. This performance was with a decent defense. They have some nice pieces on that side of the ball. I really like players like cornerback Jalen Johnson and safety Kevin Byard. If you look at the lens that the Bears were 3 points worse than NFL average last year, then maybe it's a good thing that the wisdom of crowds thinks that the Bears can get to NFL average under Ben Johnson. This post-draft wisdom of crowds model predicts 7.9 wins for Chicago. This is below the NFL average of 8.5 wins over a 17-game schedule. The Bears are probably going to have a more difficult schedule, as it looks like the NFC North division will be pretty solid again. The wisdom of crowds model has Detroit at 5th and Green Bay at 8th. Rookie Drake May got the call Week 6 against Houston. New England drafted May with a 3rd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, and he would start the remainder of the games for the Patriots. He only earned 2 wins as a starter as a rookie. However, the underlying metrics were more positive. Let's dig into this a little more. I heavily rely on passing success rate. For an offense, a play is a success if the offense gains 50% of the necessary yards towards the next first down on first down. They need to gain 70% of those necessary yards on second down. And then obviously 100% of those yards on third and fourth down. I look at success rate on passing plays because I found this to be one of the most predictive metrics for NFL quarterbacks. I take passing success rate and then I adjust for opposing defenses based on my mathematical algorithms at the power rank. At the end of the calculation, every quarterback gets a rating, which is an expected passing success rate against an average NFL defense. For Drake May as a rookie, he had an expected passing success rate of 42.4%. This is really good. It's pretty close to the NFL average of 43.4%. For comparison, we can look at how a few other rookie quarterbacks did last year. Caleb Williams had an expected passing success rate of 38.5. Again, well below NFL average and not good. Jaden Daniels of Washington had an expected passing success rate of 45.5%. Obviously, pretty good. Drake May also didn't really have a good supporting cast last year. New England tight end Hunter Henry earned the most targets on that team last season, and he's not exactly a player that strikes fear in the heart of a defense. So, is Drake May legit, or was it a small sample size last year in 2024? He had 374 passing attempts. The wisdom of crowds is leaning towards small sample size. The New England Patriots start the season 25th in my model. Even after a pretty rough season last year, New England ended the season 28th in my team rankings. So the wisdom of crowds isn't necessarily seeing this huge bump for Drake May in his sophomore campaign. I do think there is some signal here. I think it's going to be a struggle for New England to improve. Drake May has a lot to prove in his second year. May is getting some help on the offense. New England signed wide receiver Stefon Diggs, a player that has been one of the NFL's best before. However, he is coming off a torn ACL. The latest news as of May suggests that he will be ready for the start of the season. New England also drafted wide receiver Kyle Williams in the 3rd round of the draft out of Washington State. Last season, New England's defense was terrible. When I look at pass defense, I take that same passing success rate and then I adjust for opposing offenses. New England was 29th. Can they get better? Maybe. They signed veteran cornerback Carlton Davis, and hopefully they'll get a bump from having a full year of health from defensive tackle Christian Barmore. The post-draft wisdom of crowds model predicts 7.9 wins for New England. You'll notice that this is the same win total that it predicted for Chicago, even though New England is ranked 3 points worse on a neutral field. This is the impact of strength of schedule. The AFC East is very top-heavy, with Buffalo being ranked at second in my model, but there is also Miami at 22nd and the New York Jets at 27th. It would be really nice to look at this Wisdom of Crowds NFL model post-draft, look at the outputted win totals, and then use it to find value in the markets. But I found this hard. To show you, let's look at the Los Angeles Rams. They show up 7th in my Wisdom of Crowds model, and that immediately struck me as too high. Quarterback Matthew Stafford is 37 years old. The Rams decided to part ways with veteran wide receiver Cooper Kupp. You can kind of understand that because they have third-year wide receiver Puka Nacua, who is a stud, and then they signed veteran Devontae Adams. Hopefully he will hold up at the age of 32. If these three players can stay healthy, the Rams' offense should be decent. Last season, they ranked 8th in my adjusted passing success rate with Stafford. However, I do think injuries are potentially a problem. On defense, the Rams did really well in their first year after the retirement of all-world defensive tackle Aaron Donald. Rookie edge rusher Jared Verse was awesome, and he won NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. The Rams also looked good in my metrics. As I said before, I trust my passing success rate numbers. The Rams ranked 5th in my adjusted passing success rate last season. This is excellent. However, defensive performance tends to be way more volatile than offensive performance. And as much as I trust passing success rate, it is certainly not the only metric that I look at. For the Rams, it's a little bit troubling that they struggled in other pass defense metrics. Over at PFF, they assign a grade to every defensive player on every play. The Rams last season ranked 21st in coverage grade. As a team, that's kind of a bad sign. I think the Wisdom of Crowds has the Rams overrated at 7th. The market has the Rams at 9.5 wins, with the over juiced at minus 140. The post-draft Wisdom of Crowds model assigns 10.4 wins for this team, which suggests value on the over, but I just think this prediction is too high. I think the market is more on top of the Los Angeles Rams than the Wisdom of Crowds. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Football Analytics Show. My name is Ed Feng, your host. You can check out my NFL post-draft Wisdom of Crowd rankings for free on my site. Go to thepowerrank.com/NFL. If you're interested in more about the details of this Wisdom of Crowds model, I actually did 30 minutes of content on this last season. It was half of the 60-minute guide to the 2024 football season. That was my audiobook product. You may be able to listen to this audiobook on Spotify for no additional charge. If you're listening on Spotify right now, click on the podcast icon in the top left corner. It's black and yellow. Then click on More Like This. The 60-minute guide to the 2024 football season will appear under host recommendations. Members of the Power Rank get access to the win total projections from this Wisdom of Crowds model. Look, I know May is not exactly the best month to be pitching you to become a member of the Power Rank. The season is still pretty far away, but maybe you really need to crank on your NFL analysis. If you're interested in learning more, you can check out thepowerrank.net. That is a URL that will take you to a place on my site where you can learn more about a membership to the Power Rank. Once again, that's thepowerrank.net. Yes, it is May, but the Power Rank is always open for business. Not ready yet for a membership? Completely okay. A lot of people get started by checking out my free sports betting newsletter. 5 Nugget Saturday is my curated list of tips, bets, analytics, and humor. It comes out every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. To sign up for this free service, go to thepowerrank.com. Thanks again for listening to the Football Analytics Show. I'm your host, Ed Feng, and I'll talk to you again soon.